Hey everybody, so this is just a quick video I wanted to make, just touching on something that just kind of annoyed me, specifically the genre of anime fighting games, and how super niche and barely populated those genre of games are. Okay, so for some context for the people who don't really understand these types of games, so basically there are two types of fighting games. There are very stylish, very movement heavy, very kind of very expressive. And by expressive I mean there are like a lot of different combinations of things you can do. You can, fight in the air, you can fight on the ground. There are dashing. There are there's like a lot of different variety of like combinations for expressing yourself. And yeah, so on the second end, and on the much more popular end, there are the kind of Street Fighter. There's Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat kind of games where it's much more stiffer. There is very much less kind of there's way more restriction for what you can do. Now, I'm not saying that one is better than the other. I'm not saying that the more complex, more expressive anime fighters are much better. There's just some that just fit the person, and as the numbers show, like the latter option, the Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat kind of option, is so much more popular. And that's kind of what I wanted to touch on. For a long time, it just used to be the very restricted kind of linear Street Fighter approach to fighting games, and like the genre, it used to be it used to be like the de facto fighting game genre. This is how everyone looked at fighting games. You pressed up and your character committed to a jump, could not move. You had a set amount of units forward that you could dash, set amount of units back you could dash, and set amount of frames that your character would use. Very kind of restricted, very limited basically, not as much expression options. And I think it's pretty obvious those are so much easier to get into than the anime fighting games. But yeah, anime fighting games, for the people who really got into them and practice a lot of them, such as yours truly, I got kind of very addicted to them. Those games have a super dedicated kind of cult fan base basically, and that just used to be how it was kind of seen. It was seen as like super for people who are super dedicated. Now by around 2000, maybe 18, there comes a title called Dragon Ball Z Fighters, and that game was mega popular. It was so popular. Like, that kind of game was an anime fighting game. It had complex mechanics. It had a lot of aerial combat. It had a lot of ground expression, not too much fundamentals like footsies, like spacing and stuff like that. It was just very fast. It was a lot of action. There was a lot of skill expression basically. And despite that, it had a seat at EVO. It had extremely popular fan base. It had videos that reached millions of views, and I think there was one video by a creator called Mother's Basement, and he called it "Can Dragon Ball Z Fighters Save Anime Fighting Games?" And he talked about games that are, anime fighters at the time, basically. They were games like Guilty Gear Xrd. I think it was like Blaze Blue, Central Fiction, or Cross Tag Battle. I'm not sure, actually. Sorry, I wasn't really around back then. But yeah, off topic though, I know a lot of people remember this video because it was so controversial, because he really hated Smash Brothers, and he roasted everybody in the fan base, and he gained an infamous reputation in the fighting game community, and fighting game community for Smash Brothers. Yeah, but despite that, actually I remember I was pretty into Smash Brothers, so I didn't really like that video. But now I actually don't mind. It was pretty good, and I even think the disses to Smash Brothers was really funny. But yeah, anyway, I forgot what he exactly talked about, but I know he talked about the idea of Dragon Ball FighterZ, very expressive kind of gameplay being mainstream now, which in hindsight, looking back, I think that was totally too optimistic and not very accurate. However though, by 2021, Arc System Works released Guilty Gear Strive, and at first the people who were very interested in it were fans of Guilty Gear Xrd Sign, Guilty Gear Xrd Revelator, and maybe Guilty Gear XX Accent Core from 2012. Guilty Gear Isuka, Guilty Gear XX Sharp Reload. Basically, it's a very niche fan base. Then afterwards, when the game got more and more popular, it became like very quickly one of the best-selling Guilty Gear games, and eventually it became like so incredibly popular. I don't know what happened all of a sudden with Strive. I'm pretty sure because the combat and the mechanics just became a lot more easier. But yeah, it started to just like bring in so much new people who don't play fighting games, and especially don't touch anime fighting games, to try the mechanics of an anime fighter without being like demolished. Like for example, basically looking at just pure statistics, I have the Steam charts up for Guilty Gear Strive, and it says here that the all-time peak player count was 30,900, and I don't know if we could trust this. I'm gonna say, I wish I could take the average of everything every single year, but can't do that. I take this with a pinch of salt, but yeah, the all-time top player count was 30,000. Let's say, or actually 31,000, 30,900, 31,000 basically. Let's say that is the reach it got. That's how popular, a measure of popularity for Guilty Gear Strive. And if we look up Steam charts for Exard Rev 2, the most popular, we have an all-time player count. Rev 2, basically, the most popular Guilty Gear Exard title, is 3,000. 3,000, basically. That's 10 times more. Again, take this with a pinch of salt. That's insane. Like, that is actually insane. That is like a event. Like, this is like, we have 3,000 playing right now. Right now, Strive. Compared to Revelator, Guilty Gear Xrd Revelator 2, Rev 2, with an all-time player count of 3,000. That's how many people are playing Strive right now. That is actually unbelievable. Yeah, I honestly believe this caused like so many people to be a fan of anime fighting games, because that's what Guilty Gear Strive is. Like, let's be real. The only kind of difference Strive has from like Rev 2 or Type Lumina, Melty Blood Type Lumina, or any of those games are pretty much like the wall break mechanic. I'm not exactly sure, I'm not really an expert, but yeah, you get my point. They're very little difference. It's just a lot more simpler for Strive. And honestly, like, yeah, it's not hard to believe that there has been like so many people who are like now able to play anime fighting games now, and like able to follow them now. And if I had to like put in a little bit of my anecdote here, I know I don't really speak for everyone, but I personally was affected by the two. The reason why I got into a little bit of lore, the reason why I got into Under Night In-Birth and Under Night In-Birth Clear, whatever that stands for, and also Under Night In-Birth 2, was because of Guilty Gear Strive. I got into how fun it is. I got so addicted to Strive that I kind of wanted a bit more. I got way too, annoyed with how basic Strive got, and how like I got annoyed by the wall break mechanic a little bit too, like babyish. It felt like it held my hand a lot, and I felt like I wanted to do just a lot more. But yeah, so I genuinely think Guilty Gear Strive has like fundamentally like changed like anime fighters from being like super niche, extremely difficult kind of video games. And effectively, I basically think the health of the anime fighting games kind of genre is super like influenced by the health of games like Guilty Gear. That is extremely good welcome to the genre. It's an extremely good kind of bridge to get into anime fighters. So yeah, I'm just hoping that dedicated fans of Guilty Gear Strive will have enough interest to try out the other kind of titles in the franchise, like XXX and Core Plus R, Rev 2. Those are like very anime fighting games. Maybe Melty Blood and also Under Night. Because games like those are so good. They're so underrated. I really desperately want them to be just as popular as Guilty Gear Strive. I was personally a huge fan of Guilty Gear Strive. I have like 500 hours on Guilty Gear Strive. But yeah, I recently transitioned over to Under Night In-Birth executable. I really love it, but it's so small. There's very little people playing. There's like 10 people playing. That's exaggeration. There's like maybe like 20 people playing on the afternoon, the most popular time. But yeah, it should be so much popular. It's so underrated. And I'll be honest, Studio French Bread does not really, it feels like they don't care at all to have this become popular. They don't really like encourage really any growth from it too. So us fans who really love the game, creators who like made the game too, were pretty much on our own to play it and like be dedicated to it, which is unfortunate. I wish they did what Strive did too, and blew up to like millions of people and have thousands playing right now. But yeah, that was all I want to talk about really today. If you have any thoughts, leave them down in the comment section. Let me know what you think of this. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. Thank you guys for watching. Love you very much. Catch you later.